Thanks again, everyone, for attending our webinar today. So my name is Sebastian Ng, and we have a special guest joining us from Austria, Thomas Obermüller. So if Thomas is here, can you turn your maybe your camera or your microphone?
Hello from Austria. Or good morning on my end.
That's looks like it's the weather and the whole COVID stuff in Europe is getting better over there, isn't it?
Yes, it becomes better.
That's really good. So today we have Thomas Obermüller. Maybe you can introduce yourself about what you do at Fronius International.
Yes, of course. Yeah, I'm glad to be here and to hold with Sebastian the webinar. I'm the product manager for Solar.web, so I'm responsible for Solar.web, but also for all digital topics which are offering customers from Fronius International in the business unit Solar Energy. Yeah, and so I'm excited to be here and see Sebastian introducing the new simulation tool, and I want to go ahead with some facts and figures, new features, what we plan, and a short outlook of 2020.
Awesome, thanks Thomas. So let's maybe jump in the presentation here. So as some of you may have attended some of our training before, we always talk about all the let's say sales process with Fronius. So we want always to make sure that we have a plan for the installers. So we've on the Fronius side, especially on the whole sales cycles with Fronius, we always want to encourage people to plan ahead, make sure that they install, they do the warranty, they look at the service, and also one important step is to set up the monitoring. So up until now, there's quite a lot of unit being installed in Australia where installers are not setting up the monitoring. But we know that data has always values. So that's where we always try to focus our energy about monitoring, for example. So here you can see a complete cycle. The system doesn't stop at monitoring. We want people to optimize what they have installed, repower the system if needed. And then that's where it comes with the interesting part. So storage, battery, electric cars, and again, go through this whole process where maybe you need to upsize the system. So right now, what I would cover first is a bit about the monitoring side of things. So the smart meter and what type of, let's say, features we have. So here we know that data has always value. So a good example is Facebook. Even if you look at other platforms like Instagram, like they always try to get data out of the system, and this data has value. So for example, surveys and everything that comes with let's say the current technology. So to be able to monitor a system, what is really important is that you have this data manager card. So this is basically our monitoring card, and it allows a lot of possible things with it. So you can do third-party interfaces. So let's say you installed a commercial jobs and you need this particular inverter to talk with the building management system. That's where you can use Modbus. But we can also talk to third-party servers, for example, with push function. So there's a lot of, let's say, capabilities within this card. We can also do power control function, which means if you need to do export limit, or if you need to ramp up and down the inverter, you can do it via this card, and of course, energy management function. So turning on and off different devices. So then we also know that more data you have, more value you will get. And that's why we encourage people to install smart meter on site. So there's different types of smart meter we offer. So you have a 63 amp direct connect, which is basically maximum 63 amp. You don't need CTs for this one. And then we also have a 240 UL meter. And this one, you will need a CT, and you will need to get one which is basically whatever the main switch is rated at to 333 millivolt. Then you have also your three-phase sites. That's where you need a three-phase smart meter. So the first one is a 63 amps direct connect. And then you have your 50K smart meter, which is one based on CTs. And this particular one, you will need basically 5 amps secondary CTs. Compared to our 480 UL meter, which is also for our three-phase sites, this one you need 300 millivolt CTs. So those two meters are for commercial. Usually that's what people uses. And there's more trend going through the 480 UL meter because those particular CTs are smaller and easier to install. Also, this meter you can use for swirl line, so face-to-face 480 volt. Compared to the 50K, you can't really use it for 480 UL for face-to-face 480 volt. So at the start, we spoke about the whole sales process. And as I mentioned, some people stop with the monitoring, but also we've seen some installers in the country where they start to do optimization. So what is optimization? Trying to make the most of what you have installed. So trying to use this excess of power, turning on loads like pool pumps and different, let's say, energy management system. So with our data manager card, you have digital output, which you can connect to an external relay where you can turn on and off like a pool pump, like practically any load that you want. So this is one of the first step, and also it's standard on our inverter, so it comes with that. So what we really want to make sure is we complete this cycle for an installer. We want to make sure that they go from A to B to C and complete the whole process. And one thing that we really need, of course, is the data online. So before we go through the simulation part, which is basically this last quarter of this whole cycle, we need to understand some storage basics there. So one thing that is really important is to differentiate between self-consumption and self-sufficiency rate. Self-consumption is basically doing home automation, for example. So you want to make sure that you use the power when you have excess. Compared to self-sufficient rate, it's more about being independent from the grid, for example. So this is where when you sit down with your customer, you need to really ask them, what do you really want? Do you basically want to be independent from the grid? So that's where you need to focus on your self-sufficiency rate, or do you want to work on the self-consumption, so making the most of what you have installed? So let's look at an example where you want to work on the self-consumption. So here you can see our Solar.web platform. So this is where we monitor our system. And you can see here in blue, it's all the power feeding into the grid. And the gray one, or the black one, is basically all the power that you're using directly from your PV. So when you want to increase self-consumption, you want to turn on those different loads, which basically will use the power directly from the solar. So this is basically self-consumption. That's where this percentage increased by quite a lot here. So apologize for this. Just my laptop just changed, but yeah, that's one of the big difference between let's say when you have an energy management system being turned on. So here you see in the morning we shift some of those later loads during the day, for example. Then you have self-sufficiency. So self-sufficiency rate is basically how independent you are from the grid. So here is an example. During the day with the excess of power, we charge the battery. And then from there, as soon as you start to, let's say in the afternoon, everyone comes back home and you have high loads, that's where let's say people basically start to use quite a lot of power, and that's where the battery start to discharge over here. And basically, instead of taking power from the grid, that's where you get the power from the grid. Can you guys still hear me on my side? It's just throwing errors on my laptop, saying that you guys can't hear. Can you guys maybe raise your hand if you can hear me? Yeah, and the screen is all good. All right, awesome. So everyone can hear me. That's good. Just my laptop showing some errors. Apologies for that, guys. Definitely, I need to have a look at this. So let's continue with the self-sufficiency side of things. So again, basically self-sufficiency explain how independent, and it's a really important conversation that maybe you should have with the customer to know what they are actually what they are paying for in a way. So now let's have a look at our new Fronius storage simulation. So this Fronius storage simulation is available for all of you guys, also your end customer, and it doesn't matter if you're premium or not, it's basically free for all users. So let's have a look. So I have a system here. That's how it looks like when you have a Fronius smart meter. So it's really important to be able to use this feature. You need to have a Fronius smart meter because we need to know how power is being used on site and where the energy flows are so that we can do the calculation. So here what you do, you need to click on analysis at the top here. And then from there, you will see that there's different options. So those are internal for Fronius employees, but you guys will have simulation next to it. So you click on simulation, you will see a page which shows a bit like this. So from here, we can do, let's say, power diverter. So Fronius has an on-pilot that we sell also in Australia. But it's not really focused. We're not going to talk a lot about it right now, but you can simulate a hot water system, a hot water power diverter if you want here. You can put different tariffs if you want, how much your electricity costs. So there's quite few options. And from there, we can see some savings on the right-hand side. What we're going to talk about today is the storage one. So you just click on this option here, and then that's where you will have different options. So one of the things that you will be able to do is choose what size of battery. So for the first example, I haven't changed the size, so I just took BYD HV batteries, the 6.4 kilowatt hour, and then from there I said I don't want to reserve any backup, and then from there I just simulate the software there, and then it tells me how independent I'm from the grid and how my self-consumption is looking at. So how much I'm using from let's say from the grid there, from the PV there. Then I can also say, okay, I want to make sure I have a backup capacity of 30%. And then from there, you can see my self-sufficiency decreases because there's a bit that I'm reserving just in case that there is a backup. And you can see the percentage decreases. When you click on simulate, it will take a bit of time because we need to do the calculation to load. So here you can see that it says the simulation might take a few minutes. So that's one thing that you can wait. And also you have a summary which explain what you're getting out of the system there. So from there, if you click on the drop down menu, you will see all the battery that you can simulate. So BYD is coming out with a new HVM and HVS version. Here you can see the US, so ignore those one. It's only those HVM and also LG you can simulate there. And then from there, you can choose whichever size and see what's the difference. So here I change it to, for example, a BYD HVM 22.1 kilowatt, and I did simulate it. And you can see that the self-sufficiency, which means how independent, again, you're from the grid, increases. And if you look at a yearly data here, you can see your self-consumption percentage also increased by quite a lot. So that's basically how you use the software. I highly encourage you guys to try it out. If you have any question, you can email us at pv-solution-australia if you have any question, or if you want if you want to basically play around a bit with it and have a chat with us, please email PV Solution. From there, I will pass it to the special guest, Thomas. So let me give you access here.
So,
Can you? Yeah.
I try it. if it's working. It's a long way from Austria to Australia, but it seems it works. Perfect. Yeah.
Awesome.
Thank you, Sebastian. I want to go ahead with some figures and numbers, what I want to show with you. So SolarWeb itself, it's very important for us from Fronius International part because as Sebastian already mentioned, data always has value, also value for us. And that's the reason why I want to show, I want to share these numbers with you, because we started with SolarWeb 2010 with an older version, and I tried to show the increase of numbers, also the online rate. For example, the PV systems in total increased since 2017 to more than 500,000 systems, which is perfect. So thank you very much, because that's your effort and that's your job, and you're doing a great job. So the numbers increased dramatically. Also, the numbers of new inverters, and this high online rate helps us, of course, to develop new features and to see what is needed. But also, we want to offer you new features, and that's the topic what I want to show you later on with the new features. But the topic what Sebastian mentioned with the upselling tool or the simulation tool, it's a tool not just for you to show customers, end customers in that case, the potential of additional components in the system. It is also shown to end customers, so it's also available for end customer and they can try it. And this should help you to get upselling offers and also orders, because they see, hey, it makes sense to have a battery inside, and this is just possible when the system is online and when a smart meter is installed. So yeah, that's the reason why I want to share these numbers with you. So thank you for the high online rate. It helps us, and we want to help you in that case. Yeah, what's next, or what we plan next, is the new features. The new features is we want to add a visualization for additional smart meters. So Sebastian mentioned already, if you install a smart meter, we can collect and show the consumption of the system, and it is also possible to install additional smart meters, so-called secondary smart meters. And if you have installed a secondary smart meter, it is still available in the history chart to show the archive curves, means the daily curves, but also how much energy is produced or consumed by these secondary smart meters. And next, we want to show also as well the current or the real-time values of these additional smart meters in the bubble chart. So that's something what is new. So we want to change the click behavior. If you click, let's say in that case, the example, it is the consumption bubble. We want to move the current view, which is in the middle, to a list view where you can see on the right side the different additional smart meters with the real-time values, which should help you or the end customer in that case to see what's going on with the secondary smart meter, which monitor, for example, an electric car, a heat pump, a pool pump, whatever. So that's the second part of visualization for these additional smart meters. Yeah, in the first stage, we want to realize it for production and consumption smart meters, but later on the second stage, we want to offer this as well for, let's say, smart meters, as it's called on our end, or hybrid smart meters, which should give the possibility to monitor as well AC batteries in SolarWeb, and then the visualization of this AC battery will stay on the bubble of the battery, but that's a second stage what we're working on. Yeah, the second feature what I want to give you a short pre-look is an email invitation in SolarWeb. So I'm sure that's nothing new for you, but we want to offer this service as well for you. So right now it is necessary that SolarWeb users still exist in SolarWeb, that you can share PV system rights with them. What's new here, or what we plan, is that we offer, as well as where you do the the permission sharing right now in the settings in the PV system, an email invitation, so you can invite let's say users with email addresses which are not existing SolarWeb users. So this should help to share system rights. Oh no, I was too fast. To share system rights with new customers and invite them to SolarWeb. So why it is not working to go back? Okay, yes. So that's the next feature what we're working on. So you just have to type in an email address, tell or select which kind of role you want to share. You can share supervisor rights or guest rights to the customer, and then the customer gets an email invitation with short explanation. They have to register, and afterwards they have the rights which you sent them directly in their account. Should help you to make your life easier. Yeah, next I want to tell you why it sometimes takes a little bit longer that these new features are available in SolarWeb. The reason is we also have to do something behind the curtains or have to work on the back end. And that's a huge amount on our end. So we have to introduce, or what we're currently working on is a new database structure or concept, because as mentioned before at the beginning of my presentation, we get a lot of PV systems online. We get a lot of PV systems all over the world. So Australia, Brazil, Europe, and so on. So we have to rethink our database structure to be future-proof. So we want to offer a high-quality solution as well as a stable solution, and therefore we have to handle this huge amount of existing data and new data which will come in the future. And that's the reason why we had to think a new database concept. And this is a back-end topic, so you will not see it directly. You will see it because SolarWeb is working as well, but it takes a little bit longer because of that. And as mentioned from Sebastian before, our new Gen 24 is coming, and this is also something what is not only a hardware topic, it is also a software topic. So we also in SolarWeb have to deal with that, and it becomes totally new. So the interface itself will stay the same at the beginning in SolarWeb, so you will see the same features, the same visualizations and so on, but the structure in the backend is totally new. So we have a new communication channel between the devices and SolarWeb, which is an enabler for us to offer additional features in the future, for example, a remote configuration or something like that. But for that, we need the new communication channel, and that takes time to implement it. Yeah, and also the exchange handling process will be new for the Gen 24, and that takes also time on our end. Unfortunately, it is a backend topic, so you will not see it immediately, but you will be affected in the future with new features because of these backend topics. So and finally, I want to give you a short pre-look about the timelines and also the plans for 2020. So the storage simulation, which will be the second part of our simulation feature as well, because the on-pilot simulation is available since March, is now completed. So of course we will improve the feature in the future as well, but the simulation topic is now online. Next would be in 5 weeks or 6 weeks to launch the last Gen 24 working packages, which are needed to show the or to visualize the Gen 24 as well as our snap inverters. And afterwards we go ahead with the 2 features what I mentioned before, with the additional smart meters in the bubble chart and also the email invitation in SolarWeb. So, and that's our plans for 2020, and I'm sure we are working on other topics as well, but that's the 2 topics what I can confirm at the moment. Yeah, that's
thanks to Thomas
for
this really good overview here. All right. Look, maybe right now we're gonna take some questions. So maybe let's go to the the question type of side of things. So if you guys just post whatever question you have, there was one at the beginning which I can answer. So one of the question was, why are we bringing the free phase first and not the primo? So basically, as some of you may know, there's some changes in our plan. So we are planning to have the SIMO Gen 24, which is our new hybrid inverter, first in the country, and we are aiming Q3, Q4, and then bring the Primo Gen 24. Unfortunately, we don't have any timeline on the single phase hybrid inverter. As you may know, some of the other markets, three phase is basically the main one over there, and they know that Australia also has basically single phase is the main installation here, so they are completely aware about it, but we are trying really hard to make it happen. So definitely it's something that we're really working hard on. So let's have a look at the other question here. Okay, so there is one question, why the 480 UL meter are good to go with 333 millivolt, but not the Fronius. So those 480 UL meter, you can use the 333 millivolt CTs, but the 50K is the different type of meter. So that's why you need to use a different one there. Okay, let's move down so everyone can see. So there's a question, is there any max amount of storage limit per inverter? So on the software that we have at the moment, we can simulate the maximum is 22 kilowatt, which is the new BYD battery there. So that's going to be the maximum storage that you can simulate at the moment. All right. So why is the backup reserve minimum 20%? Can it be 10%? You can change the percentage there. Correct me if I'm wrong there, Thomas, but the percentage on the software can be changed.
That can be changed, yes.
Yeah, so you can change it to whatever. I just put 30%, just as an example there. My favorite question, do we need to use DC isolator near to the inverter in Fronius SIMO and Eco? For the current Snap inverter range, you don't need to use any external DC isolator. We have letters. For this. So yeah, you don't need any external DC isolator. And also for the new generation of inverter, we are trying to make the isolators compliant too. There's another question. Can it detect a Tesla and its charging rate? I think you answered this question, Thomas, if you want to maybe clarify this one. So in the future, can you? Yeah.
Yes, yes, I can answer or try to answer it. With additional smart meters, we can measure the energy of the AC battery as well. So in that case, the Tesla Powerwall, we can measure the energy which goes inside or outside if a smart meter is installed. That's also possible to visualize in the bubble chart afterwards, but we cannot measure the state of charge. We're working on let's say, calculated stage of charge method that we can calculate it and show let's say a state of charge in that way, but nevertheless we don't get the values directly, so we cannot show it the correct one. We just can simulate or calculate it, but yeah, the main topic will be to show the energy.
Yeah. So you will have a rough estimation of what's happening to the battery, right?
Yes, to see that there is a battery installed, to see how much energy goes inside, comes outside of the battery, and we're working on a method to calculate the state of charge for these batteries as well. But we will start with the energy values because they are the most important ones.
Yeah. There's another question for you. Can we send email invite to friends who don't have Fronius?
So sorry, now I had a bad
Which
connection.
I think they refer to. Can send them an email.
Can you repeat the question
Okay.
again? Sorry.
The question was, can we send email invite? No, it's all right. So can we send email invite to friends who don't have Fronius?
You mean just to invite them in the portal or to a PV system?
Yes. To a PV system.
Yes, that was the feature what I presented. That's the plan of this feature, that you can invite friends, customers, neighbors, whoever, to a PV system. I'm sure it makes no sense to invite them just to SOLR.web to use it. Without the PV system, it makes not that much sense. But yes, of course, that was the main reason of this feature, that you can invite external users.
Are you still there, Thomas?
Yes.
Yeah. I think it did cut on my side. I think it's my connection there. Let's maybe move to the next question. So, do you have a dollar value for the secondary smart meter? So, if you want to do a multi smart meter feature right now, it's basically you just need to buy another meter from any of our official sales partner, and you can basically daisy chain those smart meters. So that's quite straightforward here. The next one is, are you still planning to charge for SOLR.web Premium? So for this one, we don't have any, we're still working through the process, but we will communicate when we have more information about the SOLR Premium. And one important thing about the SOLR.web Premium, I think there was some confusion at the start, what you guys will get and what you guys won't get. Definitely, we're going to clarify what will be the difference as soon as we get more information. I think we already answered this question. So one person said, you said Q3 Simogen 24, will it be July, August, September? So definitely our sales partner will get more information about it. Again, it's not exact date that we can give. I would say maybe end of September. Again, it's not exact dates. But the thing is, we will get in touch with our sales partner and we're going to give them pricing. So as soon as the pricing is out, basically you guys can have a chat with your sales partner and we can organize some stock. So if you guys have few jobs coming in the way, I highly encourage that you guys talk to your sales partner, come up with a plan when we bring the units. I highly encourage all the customers that I deal with to do something like that. Will other batteries be added to the simulation tool, and in what time frame? With the other batteries, at the moment it's only BYD and LG Chem. That's our plan. So maybe I think, correct me if I'm wrong there, Thomas, but that's the plan at the moment, is to have only those batteries there.
Yes, because we just show batteries where we are compatible, and if we have a new compatibility with other batteries, we will, of course, include them in the simulation as well.
Yeah. Okay, there's so the next question is there a storage solution for load control on commercial side? this part we can talk a bit about with the SIMO Gen 24, but there may be some solution. Yeah, we can have a chat definitely about this. Matthew, if you want to maybe email us directly, we can have a chat because it's quite a big one. It's okay. So it looks like the question is more on the SIMO Gen 24. So let's have a look here. Okay, so in a backup/off-grid situation, does the inverter control and register the backup mode, or is it controlled by the battery? So if I understood your question correctly, if the inverter goes into backup mode as soon as the smart, or you want, if basically the inverter goes into backup or off-grid mode, what will happen is we're going to get a signal from the smart meter when the grid is backed, and then from there it will send a command to the inverter to reconnect. But in the off-grid situation, the inverter will send a command to the battery there. Next question is, can we use a SIMO hybrid to provide a grid in an outage so that install solar will still work? What options are available to use a Fronius solar installation, predominantly solar installation, to also provide backup when the grid goes down? So here with our inverter, if also I got this question right here, when the grid goes down and you use a current SIMO hybrid, we can still charge the battery and send power to the load at the same time. So you can do that with or without a battery there. So hope this answers your question. All right, so there's another question about the daisy chaining of a smart meter. So you have a primo single phase. The question is there a point to hook up a second meter while you focus on three phase? So if you want, this is the thing, if you want to install a secondary smart meter to measure a specific load, usually I said if it is for let's say a pool pump, or let's say some people have a shed in the backyard that they want to monitor how much power, yes, you can have, I think it's worth it. It really depends how much details you want to have on your side. With daisy chaining, yeah, an electrician, RS485 communication, it's should be quite straightforward, but yeah. How many years, maybe a question for you, Thomas, how many years or months is the simulation summary based on?
Currently it needs an base to start the simulation, but afterwards we will take a year of simulation. So it always shows 1 year back where it is taking the energy for the simulation, but we get already the improvement or request to improve it, that it is also available for a shorter period. Of course, it works, the calculation for a shorter period as well, but the screen itself is always related to 1 year.
Yeah. All right. Doesn't look like there is any more question, guys. Thanks everyone for attending the webinar, and special thanks to Thomas for
You're
joining
welcome.
our webinar. I know it's a bit early, if I'm not wrong, over there. I know you guys start quite early, so that's really good. But thanks again, everyone. If you have any question, again, just pv-solution-australia@fronius.com, and for sure any information is also on our website. All right, have a good day, guys, and talk to you guys soon.